me questions. So they will follow behind me and do the same thing. But sometimes my dog has skills that their dog doesn't have. So what's going to work for me won't necessarily. But absolutely, if there's somebody that handles a dog like you, or you know, like your dog, or someone that you know is a really good handler, for sure, follow and look what they're doing. Or maybe the move you can't replicate, but the line they're creating for their dog you can, with a different handling move. So absolutely, there's always things you can learn from that.
One of the main takeaways from the preload is that the goal there is to solidify a plan and to commit to it and to rehearse it. So the only time that we change the plan, and this is what I'm hearing you say, Barbara, and I want to know that I'm on the right target, but the only time that we change what we plan to do is if new information arises that makes our plan that we had not the best anymore, and we need to upgrade to something better. So whether that means we're watching someone and we recognize, oh wait, the surface it's not running the way that I think that it will, I absolutely do need to change it. It is not to be changed just because you saw one thing, right? But you're like, oh, and if you're uncertain, you need to be certain before you enter that ring.
Yeah. And you need to be certain that you're going to be able just to put it into effect with not having walked it and not having practiced it. And if you don't think you can, that is not the time to try it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the skills, yeah, one of the skills that I do with my students, and it might be something that you can talk to your instructor about that's really helpful for them, is because I want them to be able to deal with things that happen on the fly. Because even if it's not you're changing your plan, your dog does something that you didn't expect them to do, and suddenly you're like, oh my god, like, you know, you thought you were doing a front cross, but your dog were at a rear cross, and now they're turning on the wrong side of the jump, and you have to quickly fix it. So one of the things I do with my students is I will set up a course, and I'll have 3 different endings, and they have a chance to walk all 3 different endings. But as they're getting to the end of the course, I will call out, you know, B, and they have to immediately on the fly just change into that course that I had them do and finish it with that. So it teaches them to quickly adjust on the fly and be able to go with the flow at the last minute. So it might be something to play with your instructors, and then they can run through the mental game of that, because it gets stressful, and learn how to stay in the moment for that.
I like that. I like practicing all the what if.
Yes.
Practicing for having to make those adjustments.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing to take away is that you need to be solid on what you plan to do. You cannot be wishy-washy when you're walking into the ring for your preload. Another question?
Nope, just a compliment. And I'm saying thanks.
Oh. I like that. I like compliments are good.
Me too.
All right, so that's the preload. Okay, then the mental program. The mental program is defined as a planned practice sequence of mental activity that maximizes the execution of the desired action. In short, the mental program is a series of thoughts before the action begins. And it's going to have 3 steps. You're going to have a point of initiation, a point of alignment, and a point of focus. So I'm going to go into details on what those are, and then we're going to talk about what are the different options for these things. There are benefits of this mental program. It narrows focus and simplifies thought. When you're in control of your thoughts, the environment is not. This is nice. When you are in control of your thoughts, then you're not going to think about anything else, because the conscious mind can only really think about one thing at a time. So you're focused. It puts you in control. Isn't that nice? We want you to be in control of what you're thinking about. And it improves the probability of performing the task subconsciously, because you're thinking about something that's going to help you to be able to do what you plan to do. If you're thinking about negatives, that is not going to be beneficial. Your mental program must be positive. It must be something that puts you in a good frame of mind. One thing that dawns on me is that, to me, the most important thing, and you tell me if you agree with this, Barbara, is that I would think that your dog feeds off of your mood.
100%.
So you need to do something that puts you in the mood to where you're ready to run.
Yep.
Not just having like this controlled thought, but what makes me happy or joyful or confident or certain or, just kind of ready to enter that ring and attack it. What puts me in the right mood, and what mood does my dog feed off of that makes them want to work for me or work with me? So the mental program is these 3 steps: point of initiation, point of alignment, and point of focus. I am not going to have a quiz on which means what. So I don't care if you remember what these terms are, but it helps me. Okay, so your point of initiation is really where the mental program starts. And it is a physical trigger, which means you're going to do something physical, and that's the beginning of your mental program. It keeps you from rushing into the action. For some people, I've seen this 2 ways. I've seen some people who like to run their whole mental program before they enter the ring and try to go on autopilot. I don't find that to be able to be duplicated well, but for some people, they like that. For other people, their point of initiation, point of alignment, and point of focus is literally right before the action, where it's once you enter the ring, the dog's at the start line, and maybe the point of initiation happens at the start line. I prefer this because to me, if you do everything before you enter the ring, there are lots of things that can happen in between entering the ring and releasing the dog.
Yep.
And if you're not able to duplicate silence in the brain for that period of time, I don't think. If you can, that's amazing. I love it. But I think it should be once you enter, you have your point of initiation. So examples of point of initiation. Barbara, what do? You touch your dog on the chest or something?
Yeah, so we go in. So all my dogs have a positionless start line stay. So they're allowed to choose whether they want to be a stand, sit, or down. I don't care. My rule is you have to be where I leave you. So they just have to stay, whatever position they want to be in. So I go into the ring. I take the leash off. I step into position, and I touch their chest and say, "We got this." And that's my stay command. We're moving out. And so then as I'm walking out, I take 3 deep breaths. And inhale, exhale, and that helps keep me grounded because I am known for holding my breath. And when I hold my breath, when I do start to breathe again, I take very short, quick breaths, which then lead to hyperventilation. So I take very long 3 deep breaths as I'm leading out, and then I release and move into my run.
So for her, the touching the dog on the chest is the point of initiation. Now, point of alignment. Point of alignment is a series of focal points that narrows thought process while you're aligning your body. So in other sports, this would be like when my brother or my dad shoot a rifle, it's what they think about as they pull the rifle up and put the rifle into position, but before they pull the trigger. But for you, if your dog has the start line stay and your dog's going to stay there, you're going to have time from when you leave your dog at the start line to wherever it is you need to be on the course, that you probably should control thought there.
Yep.
I'm assuming that that's probably when you're breathing.
Yes. Because before...
And then your focus is on your breathing.
Yeah. Before I started working with you, the thing that was happening to me was, as I was leaving out... So I've always had very good start line stays on all my dogs. I've never had that problem with any of my dogs. But as I was leaving, I was becoming so panicked as I was leaving that I was literally creating a start line issue with my dogs, because for those of you that don't have a start line or have a start line that you're not confident about, and so you'll see those handlers that kind of they're like, stay, and then they just take off and run because the dog's going to break. I was looking like that, and I didn't have a start line problem, but I was falling into this. I'm about to basically have a panic attack as I was leading out, and I tried counting, but the counting didn't work because I would just count faster and faster in my head to get to the number because I needed to. So the deep breaths really helped ground me and force me to breathe, and because you can't hyperventilate if you're taking huge deep breaths. So that was the changer for me. But before I started working with you, that was one of the struggles as I was having, is I was creating this whole big series of, oh my God, as I was leading off the start line, and I was creating issues in my dog and in me, and it was all bad.
Well, they're going to feed off of what you're giving them.
For sure, yeah. Miso was starting to lose her start line. She was getting stressy on the start line because she's very, very in tune to me, and she was like, "What is wrong with you?"
So this whole section, the point of alignment, is simply what are the thoughts going to be from the start line to wherever you need to be on course before you release your dog. What do those thoughts need to be? So there's several options for this. I have seen everything from singing a song in your head, to counting, to prayer, to maybe it's just a reminder of your goals, like we're going to stay connected, confident, controlled. It can be a wide variety of things. The whole point in it, and it can be deep breaths, like Barbara does. The whole point in it is to keep you in control of your thoughts before you release the dog. So you don't release the dog too soon. You make sure you get to the right spot where you want to be. And it helps you to not have extra noise coming in from whatever's going on around you. Somebody could be watching you. Somebody could be filming you. Maybe your coach is there. All of the things that could be pulling your focus are not going to, because you're in control of what you're choosing to think about. So that's point of alignment. And then point of focus is that last thing you think about prior to the action. I kind of think point of alignment and point of focus merge together when it comes to agility, because a lot of times that last thought is actually whatever that word is, or whatever the cue is to get your dog to actually start running, right? So they kind of merge together, I feel like. So this is the reason, or the criteria for your point of focus. Yes. Occupy the conscious mind. It transfers power to the subconscious. It needs to be something that you can do every single time. It's simple and it's handler specific. So everyone is going to be different. So I'm going to stop share this, and we're going to discuss what are some of the options for your point of alignment, point of focus, and all of the things. So does anyone want to chime in that Q&A box with what they do, as far as what are those last thoughts before they release their dog that tends to work for them, if they want to give any suggestions?
While we're waiting for people to type in, somebody asked a question saying, so I started my start line routine even in practice. Is that a good idea? I think absolutely. The more you can make it a habit, and it's what you do, the more it becomes second nature.
You have to practice your mental strategies as you're practicing your technical, or you won't remember to do them at a trial. So you have to apply all of these things in training. So including journaling. You journal your training. You don't wait to just journal trials. That's one of the questions I get all the time is, oh, I'm supposed to be journaling all the time. Yeah, all the time. Every day. And then, so anything that you're planning to do, if you're doing it in training, then you can duplicate it in competition. You also get to test it to see if you like it. So some of the things that I've heard is during the point of alignment, one of the people, I was doing a class somewhere, Texas, I think, I don't know, and somebody said that they sing the Looney Tunes song in their head because it brings them joy, it makes them happy, it's like fun, and it reminds them that this is what they do for fun. This is not something that needs to be stressful or frustrating, or it's fun. So for them, they would sing that, and then at a certain point, then that's when they release their dog. So that's an example. I had another client who was a very religious person, and there was a song connected to her religion, and so she would sing that in her head because it made her grounded. It made her